Good afternoon, girls. Today is Monday, February 1st. When did that happen? Today is awesome for multiple reasons. The first reason is because of the shirt. Technically, we're all under the weather. It came on Saturday in the mail. It's from Threadless, obviously. Link in the sidebar, or sidebar, doobly-doo, whatever. But the second reason why today is awesome is because, Meredith, I love you. Thank you so much for giving me this question. I love Harry Potter. My friend Kelly is here with me in the practice room. Say hi, Kelly.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. I'm lucky because she doesn't judge me.
I'm not a judger.
Good. Meredith, your question was, if you could marry any Harry Potter character, who would it be and why? And Anna and Emily are probably rolling their eyes about now because they pretty much know who I've been in love with for, like, ever. My Harry Potter husband would be, drumroll please, Neville Longbottom. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, he's kind of lame. He's not the hero. Like, why aren't you in love with Harry Potter? So in order to tell you accurately why I love Neville so much and why I would be willing to marry him, this would require me to map out his involvement in the entire series, books 1 through 7. Let's start with book 1. Book 1, he's kind of a pansy, let's admit it. He's not really magically gifted. He's always losing his toad Trevor, and that's become a recurring joke over the course of the series. But Dumbledore was right about one thing when he awarded Neville 10 points at the end, and thus won Gryffindor the House Cup, is that it's a lot harder to stand up to your friends and tell them what you really think than it is to stand up to your enemies. And this is when I think Neville really becomes an important character in the series, because he essentially, his involvement in that story was what won Gryffindor the cup. It wasn't Harry's 60 points. It wasn't Ron and Hermione's 50. It was Neville's 10. And those 10 points made a big difference. And don't even try to tell me that they didn't, because they did. I'm going to skip books 2 and 3 because I haven't read them in a long time. I don't really remember what he did in those. And these aren't accurate at all. So moving on to the fourth one. Neville helps Harry out in a great time of need. He has absolutely no idea what to do for the second task for the Triwizard Tournament. And if it weren't for Neville, Harry would not have gotten through that task at all. It was Neville's idea to use gillyweed, you know, and he provides, in the movies, he provides a little comic relief when he's all like, oh my god, I've killed Harry Potter! So moving on to the fifth book, and this is really when Neville starts becoming a pivotal character, and it's when we start seeing Neville for who he really is. If you recall, I was talking about how he's not really that great of a wizard when it comes to, like, charms or defense against the dark arts or transfiguration, but he really starts making an effort this time around because he believes, Harry, that Voldemort is back. And when they form the DA, he's an avid participant in that, even if he's not that great. But I think what really clinched it for him was when Bellatrix Lestrange broke out of Azkaban. Because if you recall, she was the one who tortured his parents into St. Mungo's for life. And it's at this point in the series when your attention is brought to the fact that there is this very interesting parallel between Neville and Harry. Because the fifth book is all about the prophecy that Voldemort needs in order to kill Harry or whatever. But if you recall, the prophecy that was made by Professor Trelawney that eventually got her hired at Hogwarts was about a Dark Lord, which Voldemort took to be himself, and a boy born at the end of July. Obviously, Harry's birthday is July 31st, but Neville's birthday is July 29th. So, when Voldemort considered both of these boys to fulfill the prophecy, he ultimately chose the one who he viewed was a greater threat to him. Rightly, it was Harry. I mean, Harry is a better wizard, ultimately, than Neville. But I find it interesting that Neville was considered, and that this entire series could have been about Neville. Ultimately, I think what makes Neville's story even a little bit more tragic than Harry's, Harry did lose both of his parents, and it is Voldemort's fault. But I think it may be slightly worse to know that your parents are alive but don't know who you are and what your significance in their life is, than it is for them to be gone, but still to have lived knowing and loving you. And I think that's why Neville's story is so tragic, because his parents are alive, but they don't know who he is. So all of this is tying back into that moment in the 5th movie when Neville is looking at the mirror in the room of requirement with the picture of the original Order of the Phoenix with his parents looking very happy and loving, next to the one of Bellatrix Lestrange's wanted poster. That, I think, just the pure anger on his face, oh my gosh, it blows my mind with just like how wonderful he is, because he all of a sudden is just filled with all this passion for wanting to exact revenge for his parents on his parents' behalf. And I think that makes him extremely interesting. Matthew Lewis, marry me. The 6th one, Neville didn't really have that much to do, so I won't talk about that one. Let's move on to the 7th one, and thus my favorite Neville parts. Aww. Now, there isn't a whole lot of Neville in the 7th one, obviously, because it's mainly about Harry, Ron, and Hermione's trek through the wilderness of Europe and hunting the Horcruxes and stuff. When he emerges from the passageway at the Hog's Head and his face is completely disfigured and bloodied from all the punishments he received from the Carrows, that moment right there really shows his loyalty, because even though Harry, Ron, and Hermione, who were kind of the ringleaders of the DA, weren't there, he and Ginny and Luna still kept the DA going, despite the fact that there were countless Death Eaters now at the school. It was wonderful. But that's not the most impressive part of the 7th one. Here comes my favorite part. When everyone thinks that Harry is dead and everyone is grieving, Neville still will not give up. There is a moment when Voldemort places the Sorting Hat on Neville's head and then lights it on fire, which I got really scared. But here is where his Gryffindor status really shows, and he proves it to you. Because in the 2nd book, Harry pulls Gryffindor's sword out of the Sorting Hat in the Chamber of Secrets. This time, it's Neville's turn to be Bamf. He pulls out Gryffindor's sword of the burning Sorting Hat and cuts off Nagini's head, therefore destroying the final Horcrux. And I was just like, no! Ah! Guys, I'm sorry for that huge long rant, but it needed to be said. Now on to the actual vlog part. Yay! Ellie, get down here and tell them who you would want to marry. Okay, ready for this?
So, I always think that I want to marry Ron, but I've secretly always had a crush on Oliver Wood. There you go.
Okay, apparently that's all we're getting. So I forgot my dice, because I'm obviously filming this in the practice room on campus and not in my room. So I'm going to use highlighters. Pink will be Anna, green will be Meredith, blue will be Emily, okay? If you were suddenly given $1,000 just randomly out of the blue, what would you spend it on? Okay, ready? See? Behind the back. Do not tell me when I'm picking Kelly, because I know you can see. Blue! Emily! Yay! So I was going to talk about what happened this weekend, but this video is already ridiculously long, and I know that it's way over 4 minutes, but I don't care. Punish me. It was worth it to talk about Neville. So, yay! Emily, I'll see you tomorrow.